Today, 15th of March, is the anniversary of the civil war in Syria. It began in 2011 in the wake of the so-called Arab Spring that first erupted in Tunisia and then spread to other countries in the region, eventually toppling the long-time rulers such as Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, and Ben Ali in Tunisia. But Syria's Bashar al-Assad survived until fate caught up with him. On 8th December 2024, Islamist rebels led by Ahmed al-Sharaa, also known as Abu Mohammad al-Julani, and his group, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, launched a lightning offensive that toppled Assad, ending the 50-year rule by the Assad family. Assad fled to Russia, leaving behind a country scarred by conflict. The Syrian Civil War began when a 15-year-old boy, Muawiyah Syasne, and his friends sprayed anti-government graffiti on the wall of their school in the town of Daraa. It read, "It's your turn, doctor," referring to Assad's training as an ophthalmologist. Fearful that Syria would see street demonstrations similar to those in countries across North Africa and West Asia, security forces loyal to Assad were keeping watch for even the slightest signs of dissent. So, when the feared Mukhabarat or Syrian intelligence got wind of the graffiti, it swooped down on Syasne and arrested him. He was interrogated and tortured. Protests broke out in Daraa and across Syria on 15th March 2011, marking the start of the civil war. After his father was killed by a rocket attack in 2013 as he walked to the mosque, Syasne decided to pick up a weapon and fight with the Free Syrian Army, a loose coalition of rebel groups made up mainly of army deserters. Now a father himself, Syasne says Assad's overthrow brought the joy of victory alongside great bitterness. Bitterness, not least because of the heavy toll it took on the people of Syria. Death and destruction were all pervasive. Some estimates put the death toll at 600,000. Imagine 600,000 dead in 14 years. But get this, in the past week alone, more than 1,500 people were killed in sectarian violence. That's twice the number of people who died per week in all these 14 years. These reprisal killings or revenge killings are said to be the worst violence seen in Syria in years.
Clashes across Syria. The death toll is now more than 1,300, and most of the victims are civilians.
Syria's interim leader is calling for national unity after days of clashes and revenge killings.
The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights called the killings massacres.
The fighting then spreading with revenge killings for those deaths, with reports of mass executions and entire families killed.
This is extremely important because extremely critical for Syria, because this is bringing up a sectarian tension.
After Assad's fall, his loyalists either fled Syria or holed up in the provinces of Latakia and Tartus on the Mediterranean coast. The region is a stronghold of the Assad clan, which belongs to a minority Shia Islamic sect called Alawites. From December onwards, al-Sharaa's forces have carried out extensive campaigns to root out Assad loyalists from his former bastions. People have reported violations during those campaigns, including the seizing of homes, field executions and kidnappings. The latest round of violence began to spiral on 6th March when Assad loyalists ambushed al-Sharaa's men, killing a dozen of them. Soon the fighting escalated. The Sunni Islamist-led government poured reinforcements into the area to crush the remnants of the Assad government. Convoys of armored vehicles carrying troops could be seen on the roads day and night. Images on social media showed security forces on trucks driving past thick black smoke that drifted over the road on their way to the coastal cities. What ensued was a pitched battle street by street between the Islamist forces and the remnants of the ousted Bashar al-Assad's regime. The London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights put the death toll at more than 1,500, an overwhelming majority of whom were civilians, including women and children. It reported widespread and indiscriminate killings and summary executions and ethnic cleansing. Videos obtained from social media showed several bodies scattered on the streets in Latakia. Many civilians were caught in the crossfire. A local resident said he was shot while heating a meal for his son in his kitchen and was taken to hospital by his neighbors.
I was heating food for my 7-year-old son near the window when he went upstairs. Suddenly, gunfire erupted from the tall buildings. They shot at us. One bullet hit my hand and another barely missed me. I started bleeding.
Others voiced dread over the resurgence of violence driven by revenge.
We don't want a sectarian war. We want to rebuild our country. We don't want bloodshed, neither from us nor them, because it won't change anything. There are those who benefit from war and don't want Syria to recover. They profit while civilians on both sides suffer. We want peace and we want our country to heal.
Hundreds of people have protested to condemn the violence. Protesters held pictures of those killed in clashes in Latakia, Tartus and Jableh, as well as other coastal cities and villages. Gunshots rent the air as protesters gathered in Damascus. The interim government headed by al-Sharaa has since announced the end of the military operation against Assad loyalists.
We confirm that we will hold accountable with all firmness and without leniency anyone who was involved in the bloodshed of civilians or harmed our people, or who exceeded the powers of the state or exploited power to achieve his own goals.
Al-Sharaa has promised accountability and an investigation after global condemnation began pouring in from United Nations Rights Chief Volker Turk and the Arab League to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and British Foreign Secretary David Lammy. The UN Human Rights Office says that entire Alawite families, including women and children, were killed in the coastal region. Now, Alawites make up around 9% of the Syrian population, but they were heavily represented in military and government institutions during the Assad's 5-decade rule. Today, the Alawite heartland has been gripped by fear of reprisals, which included widespread torture and disappearances. An analyst at the Century International think tank says al-Sharaa lacks the tools, incentives and local support base to engage with disgruntled Alawites. All they have is repressive power, and a lot of that is made up of jihadist zealots who think Alawites are enemies of God. Al-Sharaa has since taken two key decisions. One, set up a new National Security Council, and two, sign a landmark deal with the Syrian Kurds. Now, the 10th March agreement paves the way for Kurdish-led forces which hold a quarter of Syria to merge with Damascus. Key details of how this will happen have not been spelt out yet, but the agreement could stave off further conflict in a Syria fractured by 14 years of war. Al-Sharaa's group, the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham or HTS, has its roots in the Syrian branch of al-Qaeda. It is still listed as a terrorist organization by the US and other governments as well. Al-Sharaa is a former member of al-Qaeda and the IS. The US had put a bounty of $10 million on his head. The group has sought to moderate its image in recent years. Al-Sharaa himself has ditched military fatigues and headscarf for Western attire. But don't be fooled. warned Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar. He told German newspaper Bild that al-Sharaa and his men were jihadists and remain jihadists even if they now wear suits. His advice? Don't rush into giving legitimacy to al-Sharaa and the HTS.